Hello and welcome to episode number 51 of the TEW WWE Challenge Run. This is the first episode of, I guess, Season 2 after SummerSlam. The two-night extravaganza was last night. And I've updated all the goals, of course, in the description below, so those are all new. And we plan to move full steam ahead into Raw's pay-per-view, which is Unforgiven. I don't really think there's anything... Oh, and it's, of course... night one of the Superstar Shake-Up. So we're going to see SmackDown people popping up all throughout the show, and that's going to be exciting. And what a big show it is to kick off the season premiere of Season 2 of TEW 2020 Challenge Run. Without any further ado, let's just jump straight into the show.
I won't be free, I'm going away. Every moment's one more chance to stand up or get in the...
So, it's obviously new, we'd get the new intro, probably have new graphics and sort of shit, pyro goes off, boo boo boo, and then we... Oh, no pyro goes off, sorry. We can't have pyro on Raw because someone with 100 subscribers on YouTube might upload it to a video and dub their own music over top of it, so it's completely fair use, but then we will flag it anyway, because people might want to watch that instead of watching pyro on Raw. Completely unrelated to anything that's ever happened in my life before, ever. Totally not a reference to look into. Anyway, Drew McIntyre comes out first. He opens Raw after beating AJ Styles at SummerSlam. He says that at SummerSlam he was put to the test against the phenomenal AJ Styles, and he's of course one hell of a competitor, and gave him a challenge, but he was able to overcome and remain still your WWE Champion, etc. Yeah, cheers, you deserve it, blah blah blah. But tonight is the season premiere, the Superstar Shake-Up. He's feeling lucky. He's going to put the W title on the line against the first superstar that comes out from the back.
You think you know me?
Edge comes out. He says that he was able to shut the Messiah up at SummerSlam, at least temporarily, albeit thanks to a very unlikely ally, that being the man who terrorised his family for months earlier in the year, Randy Orton. But now he can focus on his main task since his comeback, becoming WWE Champion. Drew McIntyre holds the title in the air, and the main event is set for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre defends against Edge. What a big main event to kick off Season 2. But this is the biggest match of the show to get the first piece of in-ring action of the new series. R-Truth teams with Carmella and Naomi, who were, of course, his friends at the party for the 2 nights of SummerSlam. And now new members of the Monday Night Raw roster, I guess sort of a tag team. Not officially a tag team, because I did originally send Carmella and Dana both over to Raw, but Dana Brooks gone back to NXT. So I guess there is a spot where Naomi can fill in and be Carmella's tag partner. But anyway, they team up because they all had hostilities with the Robert Stone brand at the pay-per-view. So just a nice 6-man tag match that makes sense. R-Truth pins Robert Stone to win the match for his team and probably retain the 24/7 title in the process. Naomi 49, 43 for Carmella, 53 for R-Truth, 25 for Brandy, who does have an injury, so she's working through that. Aaliyah 28, 45 for Big Robbie Stone. We then cut to the church, the members you see on the screen, I think that's everybody, yeah. They're looking sort of unorganised, and they meet up outside Seth's locker room. And then a dishevelled Seth Rollins opens the door, and he sort of walks out and just looks at them all disappointingly. And he's like, Saturday night was a disaster. Every single one of you is to blame, including Randy, who of course couldn't make it here tonight. That's when Murphy sort of like, pfft, and Seth turns to him. He gets in his face like, something funny? And he's like, well, do you really think Randy's still in the church? Instead of just admitting that, he sort of played. He's like, starts like, shut up, before we can stop. He doesn't want to admit, he doesn't want to hear what anybody had to say. He's like, you're the most to blame out of all of us here. I want you to apologise to Johnny right now. Because, of course, in the 6-man tag match, it was a miscommunication. He accidentally kneed Gargano in the face, which led to Rey Mysterio pinning him. And then remain quiet for the rest of the night. Unless you have something important to contribute to the group. That's when Murphy laughs. He's like, as a matter of fact, he sort of goes up to Seth's ear. He whispers something in Seth's ear. And Seth's expression suddenly changes. He suddenly goes from being annoyed to being very happy. He's like, the rest of you make me proud tonight, or you will face the consequences. As for you, Murphy, he curls his finger. He's like, come with me. We've got some things to discuss. J-Flow make their debut performance as members of the Monday Night Raw roster before they get into a tag team match against two local competitors. And Marika and Tam of J-Flow defeat two PC grads, Mary Jo Foster and Lauren Thatcher. Tam gets the pin. She gets a back strain. No, Marika gets a back strain, sorry. Tam gets a 37-24 for Marika, 19 and 8 for the two graduates. Yes, I know. Thank you, Jamie Noble. You elf. I'm going to give you a hug. After the match, J-Flow are celebrating, and Mackie takes a mic. She starts singing, but then she stops singing. She starts talking. She's like, Dakota may have beaten her at SummerSlam, but there are 4 more members of J-Flow who want a shot on those titles. That's when Dakota Kai and Raquel do come out, for their first time being seen on Raw. But Dakota's like, don't get excited. We're not Raw superstars. We're simply here because we are just still your women's tag team champions, and we can float between Raw and SmackDown. And we respond to any time we get called out. And Mackie, I proved you were a fraud at SummerSlam. And if there are ever members of J-Flow, of your little band, that you want to go try us, go right ahead. And then, of course, Mina and Mizuki, who weren't in that match, and aren't Mackie, take her up on that offer. They have a match. Dakota and Raquel defeat the next 2 members of J-Flow, Mina and Mizuki. Dakota pins Mizuki, thanks to a distraction from Robert Stone, who's obviously still a bit salty that he got pantsed by J-Flow at SummerSlam. This is what I mean. Like, when I said Dakota, I didn't want to take the title off Dakota and Raquel because they were smashing it. The match before this got a 24. This one got a 52. Dakota scored a 60. 44 for Raquel, 37 for Mina, and 33 for Mizuki. That was Dakota off her game, as well as Mina, to be fair. So, yeah, good stuff. The gay mug. He's here. He's like, last night, Brock Lesnar defeated Samoa Joe. And that match, and if Samoa Joe lost that match, he would have to relinquish his position as the Raw general manager. Now, we've had a lot of general managers getting in the ring recently and sort of overstepping their boundaries, trying to have titles, trying to take the fight to Brock Lesnar, etc. That's why we've got to crown the new Raw general manager tonight and the new SmackDown general manager. And it's somebody who's promised me that she'll give her all in this role. I won't get blindsided by the glory of championships. She's had a bit of experience in this role, she's now ready to, after a few years off, ready to take it up full time. So come on out, and out comes Eve Torres, who I sort of had in NXT during the recap episode, and I was like, shit, because she wasn't supposed to be there. I just sort of palmed it off as her being done. There's a personality, but no, she is the new Raw general manager. And she's like, I'm the top gal here on Raw, you're not going to mess with me. That's when Lacey Evans' music hits, and she comes out. And she's like, girl, you're a nasty. I'm here on Raw, me and the Forgotten, and I'm the top girl, I'm the real lady here, you're nasty. And she throws like a tissue in her face or whatever. And he's like, you're going to come in and disrespect the new GM, night 1. So, you're going to be put in a match because I don't take that bullshit. And your opponent will be the new Raw Women's Champion, Liv Morgan. And Liv comes out and they have their match. Scores at 53. Liv pins Lacey with the Oblivion in 8:49. She gets a 55 and a 37 for Lacey. After the match, though, Candice and Ruby come out from behind Liv, and they both lay waste to her. And then one takes each end of the Raw Women's title and sort of holds it up. So Ruby's got one end, Candice has got the other, and they hold it in the air, united as part of the church. Aussie might come out for a promo. They say that their fluke loss at Great Balls of Fire was avenged 2 nights ago on the first night of SummerSlam when they won back their Raw Tag Team Championships. And now these titles are now where they will always be, and they've always belonged, and we're never going to drop them as long as we have Big Bronson Reed on our side. That's when Big Bronson Reed takes a mic. He's like, if anyone thinks they're bigger, thicker boy than me, come and prove it. And then we hear, oh, Monday Night Raw. Don't you dare be sour. Clap for your world famous 8-time champs and feel the power. Biggie and Kofi come out. They're now the newest members of Raw. And Biggie gets in Bronson Reed's face. You're like, if you're looking at the newest, thickest boy here on Raw. And it's time for 2 big meaty men to bump meat. So yeah, New Day here on Raw. I feel like they've done everything they can do on SmackDown. And it's time for them to move over to Raw, have some fresh matchups, including Big E's first singles match on the brand against Big Bronson Reed. Gets a 70. Big E defeated Bronson Reed in 11:51 of a big ending. Just a big meaty hoss fight. 55 for Reed and 68 for Big E.
Go tell and Roode. Go tell and Roode. Go tell and Roode that everybody's dead.
Charlie's backstage, and she's with her guest at this time, the man who will challenge Drew McIntyre tonight for the WWE title, the Radar Superstar Edge. And Edge is like, he's worked harder than ever to get back to WWE, and his main goal was once again becoming WWE Champion. He respects Drew McIntyre to hell, and all he's done for this, all he's done during his time as a champion, he's made the title proud, he's made the title prestigious, and he's been a champion everybody can be proud of and look up to. But tonight, time is up, because my time was up for 9 years, Charlie. And so this is the opportunity that I've been begging for all that time, knowing that I could never do it again. You think I'm just going to give up and let it slip away? That would not be me. So Drew needs to be ready for a fight tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Elias. Elias says now he couldn't let J-Flow be the only musical act here on Raw. So just like when they're on SmackDown, he's followed them here to give them a nice cleanse of great music and true rock and roll from a rock icon like him. And he's written up a song about how he's going to be the next WWE Champion. He starts to sing, but then Kevin Owens' music hits. He interrupts. And he sort of interrupts Elias. He gets in the ring, he gives him a stunner, cracks his guitar over his back, sends him packing. He grabs a microphone, he's like, I'm pissed after last night. I want to challenge anybody who's come over here from SmackDown in the Superstar Shake-Up. Get your ass out here and have a fight with the prize fighter. Then we hear, awesome. And out come The Miz and John Morrison. They interrupt and they say, finally, the A-list tag team once again on the A show. Johnny Drip Drip is going to make a mark when he pins Kevin Owens in his first match back. So Miz and Morrison also weren't really doing anything on SmackDown, and there's an extra hour on Raw to sort of have them here and do stuff, do Miz TV dirt sheet segments. So I thought that was the best move for them, along with Elias, who also was sort of just popping up in segments to play music. Again, that'll probably be all he'll do on Raw, but he'll be more frequently a character in the show. Such as this, where in a 77, Morrison defeats Kevin Owens in 16 minutes of a Starship Pain because Elias got involved and smashed another guitar over Kevin Owens' back this time. Kev gets a 79, 68 for Jomo, and a nice debut on Raw win for the, I guess, now Monday Night Delight. Speaking of debuts, Toni Storm is here on Raw. She has a 15 rated debut match against Natalya because they don't really care about her and they don't give a fuck about Natty. And rightfully so. 29 for Toni, 37 for Natty. Natty's injured as well. So all sorts of things going against Toni's debut here, but she will obviously get good over time. Sonya Deville is also here on Raw. She has a match with Asuka. And fresh off her win against Alexa Bliss, she's looking like a badass. But Asuka gets the win. Sonya would pass out, she wouldn't submit. So I guess sort of placing her at the top of the women's division food chain. She's above Sonya, Sonya's above Alexa. Yeah, just a nice little fight to get Sonya back on Raw. Didn't win, but went 14 minutes with probably the best woman on Raw. And yeah, nothing to shake your nose at, Bat. But after the match, in a 73 rated segment, Asuka says, that was a very good match, very good debut for Sonya Deville, but my headspace has not been correct the last 2 days, because Kyrie, we should have been, one of us should be the Raw Women's Champion right now. We were the Kabuki Warriors. We went into that Raw Women's title match at SummerSlam. We had the numbers game. We could have taken everyone out and then fought between us to see who was the best. But you sabotaged that. You randomly... Obviously, she doesn't speak it this fluently. She's obviously getting the point across in the only way Asuka can. I can't do justice to it. She's like, you hit me with that elbow and took me out and took yourself out because you were easily tricked by Ruby and Liv. But I thought we were better than that. I thought we were best friends. What would you go with other women instead of me? We had this plan that you sort of threw away for one shot at getting a big pop or whatever. And I'm not mad at you because obviously I wanted to win that match as well, but I just want to know why you would waste our golden opportunity like that. Kairi comes out and she's like, Asuka, nothing personal. I sort of got carried away. But one thing did sort of annoy me. Because you were never my best friend. We were tag team partners this whole time. And you were merely a way for me to get on Raw. And I latched myself to a champion like Asuka. Because it was supposed to help me sort of get more well-known on main roster here on SmackDown. It was on SmackDown, now on Raw. But all I became was Asuka's sidekick. And you never really treated me like a best friend. You treated me like garbage. And quite frankly, you didn't deserve to win that title because you were planning to use me to take the other women out for your own selfish gain. That's not something a best friend would do. You were my tag team partner, but you were never my best friend. Io Shirai is here on Raw. She stands alongside her best friend Kairi Sane, and there's no physicality. She just sort of stands there next to Kairi, Asuka looking confused, like, okay, who brought this bitch here? And the message very clearly sent. Kairi has made her decision. She's shown where her loyalty lies in this friendship, and it may not be good for the Empress of Tomorrow. AJ Styles promo. He comes out like, this is bullcrap. I should be the WWE Champion right now because well, shut up. I didn't lose. I should have beat Drew McIntyre, and I'm not even on the show tonight, so I'm making my own match. I want to beat these newcomers from SmackDown because this is my house, and I need to send them packing, let them know where they stand, and that is behind AJ Styles on the totem pole. Then, interestingly enough, out comes Cesaro, the Intercontinental Champion, who I guess is now on Monday Night Raw. Because the way I always grew up was always the IC title was on Raw and the US title was on SmackDown. So that's sort of the way I prefer it. I know, like, since the brand split, the IC's been the SmackDown belt, but with the new design, obviously the white IC title I always pictured on SmackDown, but this is the new IC title. It's back on Raw. I've always liked it. And obviously, of course, spoilers, Bobby Lashley's going to be on SmackDown. So I've split the mid-card titles over. Because I like them like this. I prefer the IC title being on Raw. Because that was always the Raw title for me when I grew up. So Cesaro's here and he's going to face AJ Styles. It didn't make a non-title match. Gets a 71 because there's no storyline involved. That's my fault. And yeah, Cesaro defeats AJ Styles in 20 minutes, 54 seconds with a neutralizer. We then get this segment, which is showing off everybody else who's now part of the Raw roster, including Sheamus, who was defeated. His quest for the IC title is not over, it seems, because he's followed it to Monday Night Raw. He may get another shot further down the line, but for right now, he's out of the title picture, but he's here to make mark on Monday Night Raw. As is Jeff Hardy, who was sort of, again, twiddling his thumbs on SmackDown, doing nothing. He's here on Raw now to maybe reignite his legendary career. Otis separated from Tucky. That just felt like the right thing to do. That feud finished, and he now gets a chance to make his own identity here on Raw. 3 months of the Forgotten. James Storm as he makes Steve Cutler, moved them over to Raw with Lacey. No real reason for it, just for balancing. And a new women's babyface tag team, Team Ninja, Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter, coming to Raw from NXT, along with Io Shirai from NXT, who's now here, I guess. So that is all but one draft pick for the Superstar Shake-Up for Monday Night Raw. But the last one, maybe the biggest of them all. Drew McIntyre comes out first for the WWE title match against Edge. And very suspicious because there'd only be like 10 minutes left of the show. So you'd probably get a good hunch that this match ain't happening. Like the one between Kurt Angle and Adam Cole in Challenge Run 2016. It's that big main event you announce on the show, but then you have to sort of not do it. I don't like what is basically false advertising, but it can work if the storyline is good enough, which I felt that one was, and this one definitely is. So Edge's music plays, but he doesn't come out. And that's when he's dragged out from the back by Seth Rollins and the church. And then Seth gives him a curb stomp onto the stage. And he's no longer, he was disheveled earlier on, he had the sort of rough jacket, the rough hair. But now he's got all fancily dressed. He's in his suit, tie, hair tied back, nice and neat. And all smiley. Seth laughs. He's like, at SummerSlam, it was a bad night for the church. But the future is bright. And it begins by taking what is ours. Edge, that justice that I will take will come to you unforgiven. Don't you worry about that. As for you, Drew, it really is nothing personal. You were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. But no matter, for you're about to go down in history, Drew. A story that will be told for thousands of years. The tale of how the Monday Night Messiah and the Church of Rollins saved Monday Night Raw. Drew looks confused. Murphy jumps in from behind, lays him out with the briefcase. The rest of the church get in the ring. They lay where they all hit their finishers on Drew McIntyre. Then a referee comes out and Murphy hands him the Money in the Bank briefcase. We've got to have the WWE title match after all. The bell rings. Buddy Murphy gets Drew McIntyre up and nails him with the Murphy's Law. And he scores the 1, 2, 3. And we have a new WWE Champion. And his name is Murphy. Seth Rollins puts the belt around his waist. Everybody's ecstatic. They're celebrating like it's the greatest day of their lives. Edge is still laid out on the stage. Drew McIntyre now laid out in the ring. Seth Rollins hoists, or Damian Priest and Akam, I guess, would hoist Murphy onto their shoulders as he holds the title high, as he brings the WWE title home to the Church of Rollins. 78. Our weakest show in a while. That's because technically the main event got a 71. But I don't care. This was one of my favourite shows to book in a while. And a lot of interesting stuff to follow up on as we begin Series 2. And all matters more than what the game thinks, what you thought of the show. Do let me know what you thought in the comments below. And I'll see you next time for episode 52, which will be SmackDown. And the first, after that, will be the first night of the Mae Young Classic. All in episode 52. So that should be another big one. And I'll see you then.